You know, everybody has a wish list, and whiskey geeks, we are no exception. In fact, usually our wish lists are longer than most anybody else's. So I thought I would tell you all about my unicorn wish list. Roll that intro. Hey guys, welcome back to T-Rod Whiskey. I am, of course, your host, T-Rod. If you are here for the first time, hopefully you enjoy. Hopefully you also hit that subscribe button down below. Go ahead and hit that bell notification as well so you can find out when my stunning face is dropping even more content. Now, if you're already a subscriber or you're a returning viewer, I mean, you know, welcome to you too, I guess. So today, what we're going to talk about, none of the bottles that are currently in the speakeasy. These are my top 10 wish list unicorn bottles. They're in kind of like a ramshackle order, but I mean, not in like a very particular order. I mean, yeah, they're there, right? So just to kick it off, number 10, it is the Jack Daniel's Sinatra Century Edition. So I already have the Jack Daniel's Sinatra, and it's very nice. I like it. I think it's great. I think it's a little bit overpriced in the States. When I travel abroad, that's usually when I grab a bottle for around $100. But the Sinatra Century is a extremely limited release, extremely limited batch from only about 100 barrels. Comes in this beautiful, I think it's like this blued mahogany wooden box, 100 proof, so higher than the normal proof on the regular Sinatra. Obviously, it is named to celebrate, you know, Old Blue Eyes, one of the greatest talents music has ever seen. But I've always wanted to try it. I really like the regular Sinatra. I feel like the 100 proof version is just super rich and regal, but I only have ever seen it one time for sale, and I don't have $3,000 to drop on it, so did not come home with it. Number 9 on the list, Pappy Van Winkle 15 year. No list would be complete without some tater bait on it, and I am not without, you know, those attractions. I would love to try a Van Winkle 15. I've never actually seen a Van Winkle 15 for sale in person before. I have seen the bottles at bars selling pours, but I myself am not in the range or in the market or the budget, whatever you want to call it, to spend $180 on an ounce of whiskey. So I have not yet tried the Van Winkle 15. Actually, the only Van Winkle product I've tried is an old Rip Van Winkle. And that was okay, but I've heard the 15 is really the shining expression of the lineup, that anything older than that is a little bit over oaked. So the 15 is number 9 on my list. Number 8, Jack Daniel's Coy Hill, specifically the Hazmat Edition. So I do have the 2024 release of Jack Daniel's Coy Hill. Have not gotten into my bottle, but I did try a sister bottle of it. It's very good, but this one I think is only 131 or 133 proof. I really, really want to try the Hazmat version because I heard that extra 10 proof points or 9 proof points or whatever really brought out a lot more brightness, a lot more flavor. If you don't know, Coy Hill is the highest elevation hill on the Jack Daniel's property, and the Rick House up there is known to produce some truly exceptional whiskeys. I should say Rick Houses. I think there's about 7 of them up there, but they just the altitude, the temperature shifts, it causes a lot more wood interaction, and just some super proofy, super flavorful whiskeys come out of there. Would very much like to try it. Never had an opportunity to buy one of the Hazmat bottles. Have not had an opportunity on secondary even to purchase one, because anybody who gets their hands on one usually wants to drink it. They want to hang on to it for good reason. Number 7, and this one is a little bit of a FOMO thing. So, you know, as a whiskey geek, obviously I've got the channel, I have the Instagram, I have let's call it a growing presence on social media, right? I feel like I'm missing out when I don't get to go to certain events. And one of them would be the Kentucky Bourbon Festival. Last year, Heaven Hill released a 13-year-old bottled in bond Old Fitzgerald VVS. Well, me being me, I'm like, what does VVS stand for? And without too much thought, you could probably guess it's very, very special. I have heard that it is an absolutely exceptional wheated bourbon from Heaven Hill, that it is just the pinnacle of achievement for the Old Fitzgerald line, that it is the best release they've had in years. Obviously, it comes in that decanter bottle, so it's just really pretty, really ornate. Something I would love to have on the bar down here. Not only that, it would be a great conversation piece, but it's just sounds like it'd be amazing, amazing whiskey. I rarely, if ever, get the opportunity to purchase Old Fitzgerald decanter bottles. I think twice I've had the opportunity. One time it was priced at $800. It was the 14 year a couple of years ago, I think, and it was just way outside of my budget. I was able to purchase one at MSRP, which was last year's 10-year release. So thank you, Frankie, if you're watching this. I appreciate you for being a friend of the channel, but it's just normally outside of my range. I would love to try it though. Number 6 on the list, and this is just more of a curiosity thing, but also because I really enjoy Wild Turkey, the Wild Turkey Forgiven bottle. And I think this one was released a number of years ago, and it was kind of a one-off thing. And the story goes, as far as I know, somebody accidentally poured a vat of rye from Wild Turkey into a vat of bourbon on accident. And normally this person probably would have been fired. We just lost tens of thousands of gallons of whiskey. It's ruined. Oh no. Except they tried it and it was really good. So they decided to give it a limited release called Wild Turkey Forgiven, obviously because the worker who made the mistake was forgiven, happy accident. But I believe since then they have not released another Boo Rye blend. It's just been bourbons or ryes, and that's it. I don't really get into any of the Master's Keep releases because they're super hard to find and the prices have just gone up every year. But Wild Turkey Forgiven, I would really like to try and experience, because I feel like that's just something that the whiskey gods wanted to happen, and I would like to experience that. Next one, 13th Colony Double Oaked. That shouldn't be a surprise, right? 13th Colony Double Oaked it's been the belle of the ball 2 out of the last 3 years as far as limited releases go. It's a cask strength, double oaked, high octane, high flavor whiskey that is a extremely limited release. Every influencer wants to try it. Very few get their hands on it. We just now got 13th Colony into the state this year here in Michigan. And yeah, I got the cask strength one, and the regular bourbon and rye are available. Have not seen the cask strength rye yet, but the double oaked I would very much like to get my hands on. Unfortunately, I have this sinking feeling that if I do see it for sale here in Michigan, it's probably going to be $500 or maybe even north of that point, which would effectively price me out of the market for it. But I digress, it is what it is. Number 4, and I have wanted this bottle since my very first trip to Louisville 4 or 5 years ago with, at the time, my girlfriend, now my fiance. This is the Evan Williams 23-year bourbon. And I know this is exceptionally hard to get a hold of. I know it's also fairly pricey, but not as pricey as, you might think. I mean, I think it's priced well for what it is, but I really like the presentation. I like the bottle style. I like that blue wax. I think that it has like a really nice presentation to it, but I've also heard it is one of the best 23 years that you can get your hands on out of Kentucky, that it's not like overly oaked. And, even though it's at a little bit of a lower proof point, it's still really well bodied and very flavorful. I don't even know where you would go to get one of those. I heard that you used to be able to pop into the Heaven Hill Distillery, and on certain days they might have it if you asked for it, but that it was extremely hit or miss, which means to try it, I'd have to go to a bar. Well, the only place that I found it in Kentucky was, I think it was 3 years ago now, that I got down there, and they wanted $160 for 1.5 ounce pour, which, again, not paying that. I'm not paying more than $100 for a pour or something. I don't make that kind of money in my career yet. I hope to someday, but I'm not there yet. It just is what it is, right? So dare to dream. Number 3, and this one shouldn't be a surprise. It's Eagle Rare 17. There is a BTAC lineup item on here. Now, I do prefer the George T. Stagg. I do prefer the William LaRue Weller. But I've gotten to try multiple batches of each of those due to some very generous friends. Thank you, Luciano. But the Eagle Rare 17, I've never gotten to try. I feel like at 101 proof, that would just really, really shine. I've had a couple of different single barrel picks that are near that 14, 15-year age statement, but they're at 90 proof. So at 101 proof and a couple years older, I've got to imagine that it's absolutely phenomenal. I know that they can be batchy and certain years are better than others, and I don't really follow the years that closely. I would just be tickled pink if I was able to get my hands on a bottle at MSRP, let alone worry about what year batch it was. Or if I went to a bar where they were charging a reasonable amount per pour, $35, $45 for a pour, I would pay that all day. Unfortunately, it's just not a thing near where I live. There's a couple of pretty good whiskey bars, but even to them, that is unobtainium allocation that they might be able to get a bottle of, and when they do have it behind the bar, it's usually there and gone extremely quickly, leaving me with, if I'm not there at the right place, right time, hey, I'm out of luck. Number 2, Old Soul 15 year, not the 13, the 15 year from, I think it was a 2001 release, limited release. Some of you guys are gonna say, oh yeah, well, it's just sourced whiskey anyways, you're not missing out on anything. Okay, cool, you can think that, I think differently. A lot of the stuff coming out of Cathead has been really, really good. I like the MGP sourced whiskey that they were aging down in that Louisiana climate. I really, really enjoy that. I have a number of their single barrel picks down here in the bar. I have some of the special releases, the tin types, that I think are just really good whiskey. I think that there is something to be said for sourced whiskey being aged at a distillery and letting the climate do a lot of the work for you. A lot of that Gulf air, a lot of that humidity and those fluctuating temperatures, helping everything kind of work in and out of the wood and create those flavors. It's something I want to try. I'm allowed to have that opinion.
You just brought piss to a shit fight, you little cock.
But that brings us to numero uno on the list, number 1. And if any of you guys really know me, and I don't know how many of you out there in YouTube land do, this one you should be able to guess if you've kind of followed my whiskey journey from the beginning. So when I first got into whiskey, I was very, very much influenced by some of the YouTubers I watched, primarily the Bourbon Junkies. And I got really, really enthralled with High West. I collected a lot of High West single barrels. I collected a lot of the Midwinter Night's Dram lineups. I have every Rendezvous Rye batch release going back to the year 2012, all the way up till 2022 when I decided to stop wasting my money because Constellation Brands had made the blend exceedingly youthy and they kept raising the prices. So after the 2022 batch year, I just said, you know what, I'm done buying these. Part of me feels like I'm missing out. I should go grab the 23, the 24, the 25, and I could do that, but I'm kind of running low on shelf space for that specific release. So unless I fall back in love with High West, if their prices come down, if their labels get cool again, if their finishes get unique again, they start releasing some maple syrup finishes that are super long, or honey finishes or something like that that really kind of tickles my autism, then I'm just not gonna get back into it. But one of their bottles has always been on my radar, has always been on my list, and that is the High West Rocky Mountain Rye 21 year. And from what I understand, there's probably older than 21-year-old ryes in that blend. And I know it is not something that's actively being released. And it probably hasn't been actively released since prior to COVID. So it's going to be incredibly difficult to find a pour of, but that's why it's on my unicorn list. If Constellation is smart, maybe they will, go out and find a way to make another Rocky Mountain Rye. I know there was a 16-year release. I wouldn't say no to the 16-year release either. I would be so over the moon to be able to try that. My head might explode. But the 21 year is the one that I'm putting on this list because it is my ultimate unicorn bottle. I know it's a sourced rye, probably from MGP, but it's 21 years old. And I love the label on it. I love how it has very rare kind of printed diagonally across it. I love everything about the glass. I love everything about the label. I would love to be able to try the whiskey that's inside it. But that's it, guys. Those are my top 10 unicorn bottles as of right now. And that list might change in the coming years. Who knows? Who knows what I'll be able to try or what I'll come across. But as of right now, those are the 10 bottles I would really love to get my hands on. And not even the bottles, just a sample. I'd love to be able to try those whiskeys. Now, obviously, if I could purchase them, that'd be cool too. But money is a thing. Budgets are a thing. Kids are expensive. Still got a wedding to pay for. So it is what it is. But until next time, guys, cheers.